drunk driving destroys lives. Here is Stephen Epstein, a top New York DWI attorney.
I have been successfully defending DWI charges for over 30 years. Please do not risk you or your family's life by driving while impaired during this holiday season. I have spent my career helping those that have made this mistake, and I'm here to help you if you need me. Please call 516-745-1500. BarkheadEpstein.com.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, it's Friday. What's going on in the markets? What's going on with the economy? Well, we have Larry Kudlow, of course. I mean, the country's leading economist. Larry, what are you going to report today? Besides the UFOs.
By far, the most important thing that happened this week was President Donald Trump gave John Catsimatidis a shout-out on the New York Stock Exchange.
Wasn't that great?
Of the week.
Worldwide.
It was the number one event of the week, by far.
Thank you, Larry.
Really, it was great stuff. I guess the second, all this drone business, you got to ask yourself, how can the world's greatest military and technological power not understand the drones, where they're coming from, who they are? It's a crazy, insane story. In many ways, it's the most important story, at least from the media standpoint. The other thing I'll say, though, is the stock market is having a 7-day sell-off. It's the first time in several years. And in all seriousness, I think it's because the possibility that the Trump tax cuts may be delayed and will not be in the first reconciliation bill in Congress. Now, I think that's a huge mistake, and I don't think he's made his mind up yet. But Senator Thune and some others in the Senate, and even some people in the transition, are saying, let's wait on tax cuts. And particularly after Mr. Trump bragged about cutting the corporate tax when he was at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday. It's a big mistake if they wait. Very big mistake. So fatten the wallets of the working class coalition that elected him. I would have a big reconciliation bill, a big bang bill that includes all of his policy priorities. Tax cuts, the border, regulation.
But Schumer's still in charge, so Schumer's not going to go for it, I guess.
Well, it isn't really going to be about him because January 3rd, the majorities take over, the Republicans take over. And that's when the discussion is.
So who's in charge on January 3rd?
John Thune would be the new majority leader.
John Thune
in the Senate.
And Mike Johnson on the Republican side.
Yeah, by a vote or two.
But they're voting over the weekend, or they're voting by Monday or Tuesday.
Well, no, you won't. The actual bill will take several months to put together, and they'll be jockeying back and forth. But the point is, you either have one reconciliation bill or two. All right, some people even talking about three. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they should take out the tax cuts. They should leave them in. They're very important to the working class majority that voted Trump in. Let them fatten their wallets. By the way, it's not only extending his tax cuts, but it's the 15% corporate tax for domestic producers. It's the tax-free cash tips.
No tax on tips, and that affects me, but nobody tips me.
Well, listen, it could affect all of us. And there's also the no tax on, tax-free overtime pay. These are things that are very important to the Trump constituency, and there's a lot of talk that it'll have to wait. And if it waits, A, you may never get it. It's like playing Russian roulette. And then B, you'll wake up at the end of next year, and you'll be faced with a $5 trillion tax hike under Republican administrations. Crazy story. And it's affecting the stock market, which boomed after the election. And now all of a sudden the Dow has sold off 7 straight days. It's the first time, I think, since 2020.
And Larry, at Cox here, interest rates, long-term rates have been going up for 7 days. Inflation is going up over the last, it's core inflation over the last several months. How do you do a rate cut? How does the Fed do a rate cut under those circumstances?
Well, I think the Fed's rate cut is baked in the cake. I myself oppose it because you're right. You've had a ticking up of inflation. We got CPI and PPI this week, and both of them ticked up. And in fact, the last 4 months or so, inflation's been going the wrong way. So that's an issue. But I think that hello, we still there?
Yes,
we are. We're listening intently.
Yeah, so I think the Fed should stop trying to push new money into the economy and stop cutting rates. But I don't think, that has been, it's like a 95% consensus that the Fed is going to cut. I think what's changed the market here in the last 7 trading days, going back to last week, is now the threat that the tax cuts will be delayed. And a delay means they might not ever happen. And I don't think that the Trump administration, the incoming administration, should take that chance. I think they should put the whole thing together in a large bill. They can carry it. It'll take a few months to put together. But if you wait till the end of the year, it's kind of like 2017. They were lucky. The last day of 2017, they got the tax cuts because they waited so long after health care. And it was like a Doug Flutie Hail Mary pass into the end zone, which was caught for a touchdown, but you can't count on that happening again. And I think that's the message of the stock market. Put the tax cuts in right away, as Mr. Trump said at the New York Stock Exchange.
By the way, very impressive football analogy. Very good on that. We're all shaking our heads. That was good, Larry. And Cox.
So, Larry, while they're waiting to take care of Obamacare, they really did deregulation big time together with Congress. Why don't they do that again?
Well, the deregulation will be what? You want to go after Obamacare again?
No, not Obamacare, but deregulation generally, while they're trying to undo Obamacare in that 9-month period you're citing.
Yeah, well, I think that whole thing was a big mistake, going after it. They never had the votes.
No, that was a mistake, yes.
It was a mistake, and what happened was that the tax cuts, remember, it takes 6 months, 9 months for tax cuts to really have an economic impact. And, again, the middle class will be waiting. So they got clobbered in the 2018 election cycle because of that. I don't want to see that story repeated this time around. If you get your tax cut reconciliation bill done in the first half of 2025 next year, then people will start feeling it by the end of the year or early 26 at the latest. And it would be good for the economy, and it would be good politics for the GOP. So I say do not wait. I mean, the deregulation stuff from what I call the Doge brothers, Elon and Vivek, that's going to be part of an ongoing study. There'll be low-hanging fruit and so forth, but that you're not going to get the full impact of that for quite a while. You could get some deregulation of permitting for oil and gas construction and the like, that by executive order, but that won't take effect for quite a while. They have to come up with spending cuts as well. So, but my point again, this thing, stocks like corporate tax cuts, okay? And middle-class working folks like individual tax cuts. So put both of those into the reconciliation bill right away. You start January 3rd when the House and Senate reconvenes. And then the president takes office formally on January 20th. Get it, go. Hit the ground running on that. Right now they're playing games. And I think those games are affecting the stock market, which is sold off for 7 straight days.
They're playing games, Larry, especially. Larry is playing games, especially before January 3rd. And when January 3rd happens, I think it's going to be a different era.
Well, I think President Trump is going to make a decision on the strategy. Probably this weekend, he's going to be with Mike Johnson in Mar-a-Lago. But no, look, I follow this pretty closely. I can just assure you that the Republicans in the Senate, some of them, are already creating some mischief, and I don't like it one bit. And the stock market doesn't like it one bit either.
Wow, that's troubling. Wow.
All right, let's see what happens. Larry, I'm going to be listening tomorrow. You're on the number one show on Saturdays on WABC from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Larry Kudlow. And Larry,
I'm going to cut taxes personally.
That's a good start. That's a great start.
I'm not going to wait for those guys. I'm just going to do it alone.
I went in on that tax cut.
Do a flutie.
I'll vote for you too.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Eden Memorial Chapels understands Jewish funerals can take many forms. Some are Orthodox, while others are more conservative or of a Reformed nature. There's no one better. With services close to all New York and New Jersey cemeteries, Eden Memorial Chapels offer fair and balanced pricing and can provide easy transfer of you and your loved ones to Israel. While you're grieving, they're here to take care of all the details so that you deal with less bureaucracy and have more peace of mind. Go to EdenMemorial.com. That's EdenMemorial.com.